What's up? Welcome to the Style Show. It's your host, the Style King. I am back at you on Juneteenth. I posted a video earlier where I was riding, but I just deleted it because it, it was a short ride. I'm back home now. Now I actually have time to discuss some topics with you guys. So I'm gonna try to give it a few minutes, see if I can get a couple people in the room. I know you guys are probably out enjoying your Juneteenth celebrations and having drinks. If you are, tuned in, have a drink with me. Style King, let's do it. We got a couple topics that we can go over. But like I said, I'm gonna give it a second. All these impromptu lives, man. I gotta schedule my lives better. I do apologize for that. I definitely could do a lot better to schedule my lives. Yeah, man. Salute. Hold on right there. All right, guys. Sorry for the delay. Okay, I see there's a couple people came into the chat. Salute to Frank. Hey man, pull up. Somebody get the drink with me. What y'all drinking on? I'm still drinking on what's that? Jim Beam. Is that Jim Beam? No, Jack Daniels. I'm drinking Jack Daniels. Jack Daniels honey. So I'm guessing that's whiskey. I'm not really too much of a liquor connoisseur, more of a cigar type of guy myself. But anyway, let's get into it. Hopefully, y'all catch that on the replay, catch this on the replay. So, let's talk a little bit about traveling and expenses. So, traveling to, let's say, Dominican Republic, which I have more experience in. I was in Santo Domingo, one of the poppinest places on the planet, man. Shout out to Cuatro Dos, man. Shout out to all the real players down there and all the real women in Santo Domingo that's doing their thing, man. So, anyway, depending on the length of your trip. So if I was gonna go for like a week, I would take at least about, not including hotel or residence fee and not including flight price. I would take at least, for myself, I would take at least $1,000 just in spending money just to have, because you just never know. Like, it's not too many expenses. Things are relatively cheap compared to the United States. So you should come back with a lot of money, I would hope. But it depends on your lifestyle. So me, I like to drive around, so I would rent a car when I'm there because it gives me more accessibility to the things that I want to do. So a car for a month cost me $1,000. So if you divide that, it should be around like $200 for a week. But I wouldn't advise you to drive on your first trip ever. If you're going to Santo Domingo, don't drive on your first trip. So take in drive, but you need to know your Spanish or at least have your translator ready. It's they say it's not safe. I wouldn't take in drive after like 10 p.m. But anytime before that, you're good. But oh yeah, so that's just one topic. I'm gonna talk about that more. Um, so going out to eat, you might spend, depending on if you're by yourself or you with somebody else. I would say $20 to $40 per meal at a sit down restaurant. But it's so many restaurants in Santo Domingo that you can go to, literally a stand or outside food, things like that are gonna be extremely cheap. You can get food a meal for under $5 really in Santo Domingo, but you might suffer a little bit as far as the hygiene policies go. It's gonna be more like street food. So just keep that in mind. And like I said, it's so cheap at the sit down restaurants. You can spend $10 and have steak or whatever you want to have. I think fish is a really popular thing because you're right there on the ocean. So a good pescado with two sides is gonna be like $10 to $15 maybe, just depending on where you're at. So I would say about $1,000 would do good. I didn't break it down; it's not broken down at all. But that's just to have extra spending money for you to party, go to events and things like that. But like I said, you're gonna want to have extra money. You don't want to run out of money because when you use the ATM, every time you use the ATM, depending on the machine and your bank, is gonna charge you at least $4 to $9 on transaction fees alone. Because you gotta think, you pay transaction fees here, so being overseas is a little more difficult, and it's more difficult to find the ATMs that you need to use, and also you need to inform your bank that you're going to be traveling outside the country, because as soon as you start making transactions, your bank will shut down your account immediately, and you don't want that to happen while you're overseas. That can be a real headache. Also, in the Dominican Republic, I would try to use more cash and less card, because you can fall into that using your card a lot. I did myself. Because when you're at a restaurant, you want to keep the cash on you, so you sometimes they expect you to use a card a lot. So sometimes you'll use your card. So okay, I'm just giving you an example. I used my card at a restaurant that's on the Millicom, and then 2 days later, I noticed a charge on my card for a hotel room on the Millicom when I got a monthly Airbnb. So it was relatively easy to, you know, shut that transaction down by my bank. But at the same time, when you have false transactions on your account, it can force them to shut your account down, and you have to wait for a new debit card, right? Or a credit card. So you don't want to go through that while you're overseas, because you won't have a card to use, or just depending on you and yourself, how many cards you got, how many bank accounts you got. But a lot of people don't have multiple bank accounts and multiple cards. So for me, it wasn't that big of a problem, but I was lucky. And so I just want to let you guys know to be cognizant of things like that. All right, so let's move on. I don't want to be live 10 hours today. I mean, 7 hours today. Okay, so let's talk about a little bit about why it's so hard for people to watch you not work. Because, like me, myself, I've been working uh, for at least over a decade. I've been working. And it's just weird to me, like, the more and more I separate myself from the regular working field and move more into a digital nomad space and more into a retirement type of mindset, I noticed that people are really more scared for me than I'm scared for myself. Where it's like, even with the job that I had where I was an area manager for a restaurant chain, the owner, he was a good guy, really good guy. But even when I was trying to like move into a different direction, I told him I had a job at a movie production studio, and I was, gonna spend more time on my own business. I know him from a capitalism standpoint wanted to keep me in a working place, but at the same time, it's like you gotta let people grow, man. And a lot of people are scared to grow. Like I met a girl that was kind of in the same situation that I was, as far as um, the housing thing, where I was able to flip houses, but she was too afraid to risk her money. So she just rather keep working, I guess, and never really. To me, you have to take a couple chances, man. So it's scary, like to put so much money into things and not know if it's gonna be successful. But that's a part of being a confident person and knowing the value of things and understanding the markets and how they actually work. So that's another thing that people are gonna try to discourage you sometimes from growing because they don't understand like what you're doing and your plans, and they think if you're working at a job every day then you're going to be okay, which in a way that it makes sense. But you have to have a plan. You have to work towards a goal, and once you reach that goal then you can transition into the life you want to live. Some people want to live in Puerto Rico. Some people want to live in Dominican Republic. Some people want to live in Brazil, Colombia, different places. So you have to make plans for that. You have to put your mind towards that. You have to set your life in that direction. And it's gonna be scary to people, but you can't let that stop you, man. Like when I was in Brazil, the girl that I was with when were out to eat, she was telling me like, well, the black guys here have to put their heads down when somebody looks at them and all this different junk. And I'm just like, I understand, that things are messed up, but that doesn't mean that I'm gonna. Uh, I can't help that. I can't help looking people in the eye. I'm not gonna start looking at the ground. And so that's just you. You have to have that confidence. Let me see. Man, I appreciate y'all coming through. Let me try to look in the chat. All right, that's the link right there. If you guys want to have any comments on that before I move on. But yeah, man. Shout out to Dominican Republic. Love y'all, man. Kalo K. All right, so that's another thing that I was thinking about. Insecure people really hate and despise people that are confident. So when you figure out what you want to do and you start moving in a direction that's on purpose, with purpose, it's gonna make other people uncomfortable around you that aren't secure and don't know what they want to do. And a lot of people are looking for somebody to give them direction. But if they can't understand the direction that you're going in, that also makes them uncomfortable. So you, as the person that is comfortable in your own skin and know where you're going and know how to go that way, you have to realize that, because I think a lot of people have been taken out of the game, you know, because they don't recognize that people around them are not comfortable. They are very insecure because of what you're doing. And if you don't give all yourself to them in the way they want, they will take you out the game. So that being said, it's a lot of different things that people can do to stop you. That's why people tell you don't tell people your plans. It's not because you're gonna jinx your plans. That's possible, but it's mostly because people are gonna go out their way to make sure that you fail. So if you don't want that to happen, it's kind of best to keep it to yourself. See, me, I kept a lot of things to myself because I knew where I wanted to go. I knew that I wanted to travel the earth. I knew I wanted to live in other countries. But I didn't go around. I talked about it a little bit, but not enough for people to really think that it was something that was going to happen until now that I'm actually traveling and doing things like that. So now I can talk about it because it's harder for somebody to stop what I got going on. It's hard. You can't go back in the past and stop my stock trades. You can't go back in the past and do anything about that. So now that I'm talking to you guys about that, it's just really to motivate you to get to that point. And if it's a lot of guys out there that that watch this kind of content that are travelers and have done this type of thing, so they understand it, and I think it's good for us to come together, us to talk about how we're doing things, the way we're moving, the best ways to do it, so you can get a sample from each person and take that into consideration when you're also traveling. Shout out to Corona. Short commercial break. But yeah, man. So like if you're an insecure person, a lot of times I think that that's where a lot of lies come in, where people will start lying to you to make you believe that they are something that they're not because they feel insecure about the person that they actually are. And that can be very dangerous. That is, I think, the cause of a lot of this thing back and forth between the females and males, where it's a lot of females out there that pretend to be something for you because they see that you have your stuff together. They see that you have houses and cars and all this different stuff. So they don't feel secure in the person that they are and the life that they lead in. So they start pretending to be a different kind of woman to appease you. And the same thing goes for men and women. I mean, for women, they get men that lie about their age and lie about having kids and all kind of different things, so they can, be with that woman. But it's still us. It's incumbent upon us as adults to read the situation, to have discernment, and pay attention. So I don't blame anybody for having sex with somebody or being in a relationship with somebody. But the problem comes in when you're not using, I guess, contraceptive, and you're not being responsible. And then that's when more problems become, because once you find out the person that you're with is not who they were pretending to be, you don't want to have anything to do with them anymore, right? So if you have a child out of that situation, then that complicates it further. So that's the best part about the contraceptive thing. Like, I wouldn't tell anybody not to have sex because I feel like a lot of times people aren't gonna be their true selves until after you've had sex. Sometimes it's not just that though, but that contributes. Like, I've been with people sometimes and they don't say anything about trauma or having baggage or anything like that, and they have no kids. But you know, once you have sex with them, then now they're telling you about the trauma, and now they're telling you about all the problems that they've had in life, which are going to affect your relationship. But if you knew that before, you could maybe have dodged that bullet. So, a lot of people not gonna tell you a lot of things, but we expect that from people as adults to let us know the things that are gonna affect the relationship before we get into the relationship. So that's kind of on you if you don't disclose information to your partner, but you expect them to be with you when you knowingly withheld information. All this is very important. Just like if a woman doesn't want to be with a guy that's a felon, then if you don't disclose to her that you're a felon, that's misleading. So, we all got our parts to play, man. All right, so I get off of that. I don't want to bore you guys to death. Happy Juneteenth as well. Salute. Mhm. want to talk about that yet. Yeah, yeah, I don't want to talk about but yeah, I guess I could talk a little bit about that. Hold on. Okay, so let's talk about my favorite place in Dominican Republic, which is Santo Domingo. Would I choose to live in Santo Domingo, or do I want to live somewhere else in Dominican Republic? Me personally, I don't really think it's a bad place to live necessarily. Like I like Wandolio was beautiful. I like Wandolio. I would live in Wandolio probably. That might be the destination. Or like Samana, somewhere like that that's muy tranquilo, something that's relaxing. Cause Santo Domingo is great for like visiting to me. I'd like to visit Santo Domingo because you get that city bustling, crazy New York feel where I haven't been to New York, but I can only imagine, you know what I mean? Like where it's super crowded, the motorbikes are going crazy. You get that, but it's also very frustrating as a driver. So, and just sitting in the car, you're gonna be it'll get your anxiety up if you got anxiety. So I would say like I would rather live in a place like Samana or like I said, Wandolio. Wandolio and Samana has some of the most beautiful beaches I've ever seen. Um, I wouldn't say they compete with like Brazilian beaches, but as far as like American beaches, I would say it's like better than that. It's crazy. So please try to visit those places. And when you're there, hit me up. I can give you some contacts with some different people that, speak English. And shout out to the Haitians, man. The Haitians, I think, really made the Dominican Republic shine. Like, no diss to the Dominican people. Dominican people are great. But the Haitians put the icing on the cake for real because, I mean, they speak English and Spanish. Most of them speak English and Spanish. So they are your interpreters. They are the people that keep things going for real. Like the two Haitian guys that I met, they showed me a lot, put me on a lot of different things. That's really how I learned so much about DR was through Haitians. So never discredit them, and they make DR shine for real, especially for American tourists to go down there because you can actually talk to them without the translator, and they can translate to the Dominicans for you. So keep that in mind. Salute. My boy Steven took me all the way through there, everywhere. I've been in a lot of places I shouldn't have been, but salute to him, keeping everything 100. All right, so like, so when you go there, it's a lot of different people. You just gotta, you know what I mean? Like, be on your P's and Q's still. Some people gonna try to use you, so you gotta just make sure that you're cognizant of everything. Make sure you're paying attention, just like you're in the United States. I would say that because it's still dangerous. It might not be as dangerous as Colombia, but it's very dangerous. What they would say, muy peligroso. Shit. So yeah, man. If y'all don't got no comments or concerns, I really wrap it up. See who else going live today. Cause I'm really just relaxing. I got to get back to work tomorrow. Salute to the studio I work for giving us the day off today on Juneteenth. Oh, I see my boy BMT live. Okay, that what's up, man. I go ahead and jump off and check that boy out, man. Salute to the chat. Salute to the 4 people watching. Salute to everybody that's watching it on a replay. And let me know what you got, man. Any thoughts, concerns, comments, leave them down below. And I will definitely address that.